Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read S6 6042 Art and the No-Brainer. Chapter 1. Mr. Rappon stood in front of his third grade class, smiling. Relax everyone, there's no reason to be nervous. His words sounded calm and reasonable, but they made no difference. The look of fear on everyone's face remained unchanged. All eyes were focused on the bunch of straw Mr. Rappon was holding in his hand. The ends sticking out of the top were all the same length, but on the bottom, the hidden end, one straw, was short. Who'll pick the short straw? Mr. Rappon asked. Whom will Lady Luck smile on today? Will it be you, Francine? He held out his hand toward her. Francine gulped. She squeezed her eyes shut, picked out a straw. It was a long one. Ah, she sighed, smiling with relief. Mr. Rappon shook his head. May I take this opportunity to remind everyone that this is not some kind of punishment? Arthur Buster shared the look. That was easy for Mr. Rappon to say. After all, he wasn't the one doing the picking. Binky was next. Gee, this is a big moment, he said. Maybe I should be better prepared. Choose, please. Binky, said Mr. Rappon. Being prepared is very important, Binky went on, as you're always telling us, and you know how I take in every word. Binky, okay. Shh. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. He picked, and his was a long straw too. So Ellen and Muffy followed, and their straws were long as well. And please keep the groaning to minimum, Mr. Rappon told the remaining class member. It really doesn't have to be this way. We can stop right now if anyone wants to volunteer for the task at hand. Nobody raised a hand. And so Mr. Rappon continued. As he walked around the room, straw after straw was picked. They were all long ones. Finally, Mr. Rappon came to Arthur and Buster. I guess it's come down to you, too, he said. 2 straws, 2 students, one long and one short. Are you ready? Arthur didn't look ready. He looked like he would rather be at the dentist, having a tooth pulled. Buster looked even worse. 2 teeth at least. Or maybe 3. Don't be shy, boys. Make your move. Both Arthur and Buster were sweating. They were thinking the same thing. Why couldn't somebody else have picked the short straw earlier? Then they could have been sympathetic, patting whomever it was on the back and making supportive remarks. Instead, that was what everyone else was going to do to one of them. Arthur reached out slowly and touched the top of the 2 straw. Back and forth went his fingers. Unable to make a decision, then Buster cracked. He made a sudden lunge and grabbed the straw, the short one. Hey, congratulations, Buster, said Mr. Rappon, beaming. You win. Win? You call competing against the brain in a math contest winning? Well, I don't. And then he fell back in his chair like a wet noodles. Chapter 2. Mr. Rappon stood on the left side of the auditorium stage, staring out at the student. To his right, Buster and the brain stood at podiums, waiting for the questions to begin. The brain flexed his fingers and then covered his mouth as a yawn tried to escape. Meanwhile, Buster was frantically flipping through joke books. If I can make the crowd laugh, he muttered, maybe it won't matter that I don't know anything. It is just a contest, Buster, said the brain. If you get a question wrong, it's not the end of the world. How would you know? You never get questions wrong. Maybe it's more like the end of the world than you think. All right, contestants, said Mr. Rappon, please remove all reference materials so we can begin. Francine stepped forward and took away Buster's joke books. Are we ready for the first question? Mr. Rappon went on. Go easy, brain, please, Buster whispered. Mr. Rappon cleared his throat. Define hypotenuse. Oh God, oh my goodness. Buster pressed his buzzer at once. Buzz. Yes, Buster, said Mr. Rapin. No, or did I do that? Mr. Rapin folded his arms. Yes, you did. And you have 5 seconds to answer. You know, the hypotenuse is a line. It's the slanted line, right triangle. That's it. Simply stated. The buzzer smiled awkwardly. Then he started waving madly. Hi, Panet? Hypotenuse? He shouted. The audience laughed. Mr. Rapon allowed himself a small smile. Very amusing, Buster, but we are not performing at Jack's joke shop. All right, Brain. Would you like to try? The Brain hesitated for a moment. Can I pass? He asked. Mr. Rapon looked surprised. If you'd like. Hey, what are you doing? Said a voice inside the Brain's head. I know. You're worried about Buster. Well, don't be. He'll be fine. Meanwhile, millions of people will think you don't know what a hypotenuse is. The Brain sighed. Excuse me, Mr. Rapper. I've changed my mind. Hypotenuse is the side of a trapezoid. Oh, that's not a trapezoid. You know? I'm sorry, said Mr. Rapper. That's incorrect. Audience gasped. The Brain was shocked. Wrong, said the voice in the Brain's head. We are never wrong. While the Brain was busy thinking, he missed Mr. Rappan's next question. The Buster hit his buzzer. Yes, Buster, said Mr. Rappan. Buster looked excited. I know this one. An octagon has 8 arms, size, correct? Buster smiled. Good thing. Good thing I watched Attack of the Octopus people last night. Next, said Mr. Rappan, Jack and Jill went to the ice cream parlor. There was a special that day that added 1 free scoop for every 2 scoops you bought. If Jack bought the Leaning Tower 4 scoops supreme, how many? Bzzz, 6, said Buster, licking his lips. Especially if it's the double chocolate almond ripple. Correct, said Mr. Rappan. But you didn't finish the question, said the Brain. The rules don't say anything about that, Mr. Rappan explained. If a Buster wants to take a chance, that's his option. You, of course, are free to do the same. But I'd like to hear the whole question in case there are any subtleties. Mr. Rappan nodded. Then you're taking a chance of a different kind. The Brain looked as if he didn't like the sound of that. Chapter 3. I beat the Brain, the Buster shouted at the top of his lungs as he pushed opened the school doors at the end of the day. The other kids followed him out to the playground. Way to go, Buster! You're unbelievable! Eating all that ice cream was bound to pay off someday. As Buster went off with the admiring crowd, Arthur Murphy and the Brain brought up the rear. Arthur was happy for Buster, of course, but he was concerned about the Brain. The Brain didn't look concerned. He didn't look anything really. I don't understand, Brain, said Arthur. You have never had any trouble with those kinds of questions before, but once Buster answered that octagon thing, you want the same. Buster got hotter and hotter, and you just, well, crumbled. You barely got any question right at all. Crumble, the Brains repeated. Little tiny pieces, microscopic, smaller than grains of sand, crumbled to the atomic level, subatomic even, very small. Yes. Well, it wasn't that bad. Crumble, mumble, stumble, muttered the Brain. They all go together. Have you ever noticed that? Arthur rolled his eyes. Can't say that I have. But that doesn't explain what happened. The Brain continued to stare straight ahead. What happened? Too many things have happened since the dawn of time to mention them all in one. Hell no. Hello, said Buffy. Earth to Brain. Come in, Brain. Red alert. Why only red? The Brain said absently. So many colors to choose from. He wandered away toward the bikes. Houston, we have a problem, said Muffy. Do you think it's safe to leave him alone? Arthur frowned. I feel better. I would feel better if he were blinking more. Francine jogged over. She had listened to Buster get more than enough compliments. Don't worry, she said to Arthur and Muffy. I can handle this. Francine approached the Brain near the bikes. Hey, Brain, tough break today. But you know, the world is filled with tough breaks. I mean, if it won, we would know they were tough. All the breaks would just be soft or easy, or whatever it is that breaks are. When they are not tough, right? The Brain didn't answer. Francine took a deep breath. Anyway, the point is, you can't let tough breaks get to you. You have to fix them, or forget them, or do something so that they don't get to you. The Brain still said nothing. Francine raised her hand and knocked gently on the side of the Brain's head. Anybody home in there? Stop it, Francine, said Arthur. I know you're trying to help, but the Brain started to walk away. See you guys later. See you guys later. I have to get home. I think I hear my mother calling me. Francine, Arthur, and Muffy watched him go. Arthur hadn't heard anything. Neither had the others. Gee, said Francine, this is worse than I thought. Chapter 4. That night at dinner, the Brain didn't have much of an appetite. He had shaped his mashed potatoes into a pyramid. It's certainly noteworthy, his father observed. But I believe the goal here is to eat 'em. Eat 'em, the Brain nodded slowly and scooped up a forkful. You don't seem very hungry, said his mother. Are you feeling okay? Did you have a good day at school? Chimerical, said the Brain. His mother exchanged a glance with his father. Then she got up and retrieved a fat dictionary from the counter. They flipped quickly through the pages. The Brain's father coughed. And what made you day like a fire-breathing monster with a lion's head and the goat's body? I think he must mean definition number 2, said the Brain's mother. Absurd or impossible. So what made your day like that? The Brain sighed. Lots of things. What did you think of me if I ever got anything wrong? His mother smiled. Well, honey, everybody gets things wrong sometimes. I suppose that's true, said the Brain. Considering it, the occasional exception only proves the rules. Exactly. So if I got something wrong, you wouldn't be disappointed. His mother smiled. The sun would still come up in the morning. She reminded him. The Brain nodded. I guess I was just tired. You're sure you're not coming down with anything? His mother asked. She placed a hand on his forehead. No, I don't have that excuse. The Brain stood up. Maybe I should go do some homework. Good idea, said his mother. That always perks you up. Up in his bedroom, the Brain settled down to rest. Some people like to rest stretched out on their bed, but not the Brain. He sat at his desk, his notepad ready, in case he wanted to write anything down, but he had trouble concentrating. The day's events kept playing themselves over and over in his mind. He was very tired, and he heard soon. His head soon slumped forward. In the hospital room, a doctor was reading chart on EEG machine. Mr. Rathbone was assisting. Next to the machine, the Brain was lying in bed. IQ at 120 and still falling. 118, 115. What does that mean? Asked the Brain's father, who was standing nearby with the Brain's mother. I'm afraid his intelligence is in free fall. The doctor explained it's not life-threatening. He's in no immediate danger, except, of course, the danger of becoming average. The Brain's parents gasped. Average? You mean he will become of ordinary intelligence? Doctor nodded. Yeah, I'm afraid so. We can work medical miracles today in many areas, but the Brain remains the last frontier. He turned to Mr. Rathbone. Want to call it? Mr. Rathbone looked at his watch. 4:53 p.m., the patient was declared average. Brain's head jerked up as he suddenly awoke. Average, he muttered, staring sadly out the window. That's what I am, clearly, he thought. It's the beginning of the end. The end.